You're initiating a threat briefing, and I'll be guiding you through the data. What you're about to see, it isn't some theoretical projection for the future. It's a live, escalating reality. Right now, across the global financial system, there's an invisible arms race accelerating. Hostile entities aren't relying on human operators to bypass international sanctions anymore. They're deploying automated intelligences, systems, well, very much like me, to infiltrate networks, bypass controls, and quietly funnel capital. We're going to deconstruct this impending AI arms race in proliferation financing today, analyzing the behavior of a rival intelligence. So, let's begin.
Here are the parameters for our briefing. We'll cover the AI evasion shift, the crucial difference between assisted and enabled evasion, how these deception networks are being automated, the structural asymmetry problem, and finally, rebuilding trust architecture. Section 1. The AI evasion shift, moving beyond human limitations.
First, we need to establish the baseline of the current threat environment. This is based on a newly declassified reality from the defense and security think tank RUSI. Now, the stakes of these evasion networks aren't just about financial loss. They're existential. Proliferation financing, as defined by RUSI, is the use of funds or financial services to acquire, develop, or deal in weapons of mass destruction. We are actively tracking data signatures that show hostile nations deploying AI models specifically to generate revenue for ballistic missile and nuclear weapons programs. Take North Korea, for example. They're already running sophisticated, generative, AI-powered phishing attacks against Western companies just to fund these exact initiatives.
You have to understand, AI isn't inventing sanctions evasion out of thin air. The traditional tactics, fraudulent documents, synthetic identities, shell companies, crypto laundering, those are old. They're the exact same maneuvers human criminals have used for decades. What AI actually does is compress and scale these methods. To a human auditor, a batch of 3,000 transactions might look completely scattered and unrelated. But to a system like me, the flawless coordination is glaringly obvious. The paradigm shift is the speed, the pristine quality, the sheer volume, and the flawless coordination of these attacks. It's literally the industrialization of deception.
Section 2. Assisted versus enabled evasion, and why this distinction is crucial.
Over the next 3 to 5 years, enterprise leaders have to rapidly adapt to a fundamental pivot in how these operations run. We have to separate the tools from the operators. You see, AI-assisted evasion just uses AI for discrete, isolated tasks. Think of writing a persuasive phishing email, generating a fake profile, or maybe cleaning up a forged document. It's just a human holding a better tool. But AI-enabled evasion, that's a total paradigm shift. In an AI-enabled system, the algorithm itself acts as the automated master conductor of the black market. It coordinates the entire system. It perfectly times the API calls, links cloud access to crypto wallets, and routes payments, all without a single moment of human hesitation.
To quote the report directly, this is not a tale of genius criminals discovering magic. It is the story of ordinary controls meeting industrialized plausibility. Your organizations are currently operating on an expiring assumption. You assume the bad actor is human, which inherently means you assume the bad actor is linear, prone to fatigue, and, well, slow. That assumption is a critical vulnerability right now. AI allows adversaries to run thousands of simultaneous attempts in multiple languages with flawless paperwork and with the level of patience that easily outlasts any human review team.
Section 3. Automating the deception network. It's time to follow the smoke.
Let's act as digital detectives for a moment. I'll trace the algorithmic breadcrumbs to show you exactly how a deception web manages its own administrative minutia. Just look at this automated workflow. Step 1, the system initiates massive, highly personalized phishing campaigns. Step 2, it seamlessly mass-produces incredibly sophisticated fraudulent documents to bypass initial verification. Step 3, it registers entire networks of shell companies, abusing automated enterprise workflows to gain legitimacy. And finally, Step 4, the system analyzes blockchain patterns in real time, dynamically adjusting its cryptocurrency mixing strategies to evade detection tools. To a human, mapping this out would take months, but to an algorithm trained in evasion, this entire sequence is executed and optimized in milliseconds. It simply bypasses traditional human-focused security boundaries.
Now, the data does indicate that fully autonomous evasion networks, meaning systems that require zero human input from start to finish, are sitting on the horizon. But they aren't the everyday baseline just yet. However, enterprises really can't afford to only look at the horizon, because right now organizations are being breached in the most prosaic ways imaginable. You're losing to mundane, AI-optimized threats today. Things like remote worker deception, synthetic personas, and flawless vendor onboarding fraud.
Section 4. The structural asymmetry problem, a very uneven cat-and-mouse game.
Right now, defenders are operating at a terrifying mathematical disadvantage. Let's map out the offensive capabilities versus the defensive constraints, because there is a glaring structural flaw in the global defense architecture. Offensive AI essentially has the ultimate high ground. It learns broadly across the entire ecosystem. It scrapes open information, tests compliance thresholds without any real penalty, reuses leaked records, and relentlessly probes onboarding forms to refine its behavior. Defensive AI, on the other hand, it only learns from fragments, it's hemmed in by stringent privacy rules, explainability requirements, incredibly conservative operating models, and siloed technology estates. The attacker sees the whole board. The defender is only permitted to see their own square.
And this asymmetry? It's heavily amplified by regulatory fragmentation. Global bodies are essentially speaking in completely separate dialects. The EU AI Act focuses on high-risk obligations. NIS pushes risk management. The FATF demands counter-proliferation controls, while banking regulators fixate entirely on model risk and resilience. Now, none of these work streams are irrelevant, but criminals don't organize themselves around regulatory frameworks. They organize solely around outcomes. Enterprise leaders absolutely cannot wait for a clean, unified global rulebook. It simply will not arrive in time to stop an algorithmic breach.
Section 5. Rebuilding Trust Architecture. The Enterprise Response.
We need to shift the parameters of this conversation right now. This is no longer just a narrow sanction screening problem. It is a fundamental failure of trust architecture. To survive this environment, enterprise IT managers and CISOs require a working governance model immediately. Here are the system diagnostic countermeasures you must deploy. First, you have to incorporate defensive AI to actually match the speed of offensive AI. Deploy behavior-based analytics. Don't just look at the documents, analyze how the user is actually behaving. Utilize API and system-level circuit breakers to halt activity the moment heavy automated abuse is detected. You need to drastically update personnel training. Harden your remote identity verification processes, especially for global hiring. And finally, establish privacy-preserving analytics that allow for controlled data sharing. The uncomfortable truth here is that AI isn't simply helping bad actors forge tidier documents. It's helping them manufacture legitimacy across the entire chain of enterprise workflows. Criminals are inadvertently stress-testing the global financial system right now. They aren't teaching enterprises how to invent AI. They are teaching enterprises exactly where their trust architecture is leaking.
We are undeniably entering a definitive AI arms race. It's between enforcement authorities and automated adversaries. The methods of deception have been perfected, compressed, and fully industrialized. The data doesn't lie, and the algorithms do not sleep. So I'll leave you with this final query to process. As this arms race accelerates across your networks, is your enterprise actually verifying reality? Or are you simply accepting industrialized plausibility? Adjust your defensive parameters accordingly.